Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andreas, and today I will talk to you about something that I'm quite passionate about and might turn up rambling a bit more than I expect to, so stay with me. But it's the topic of digital product development, more specifically the use of MVPs, or minimum viable products. I will share with you a framework that I've created based on my many years of experience creating MVPs. And this framework basically reflects my own struggles, best trying to guide myself and my team in delivering digital products with an actual impact. But before I get started, I just want to get a feel of the room, who I'm speaking to today. So how many of you are familiar with the concept of MVP? Could we do it? Oh, perfect. That's everyone. Okay. Let's dig a bit deeper. How many of you have actual hands-on experiencing developing a MVP? A bit fewer, but still impressively many. And lastly, those of you with actual experience, how many of you have experienced your MVP continuously growing in scope and growing before ever getting released? Very good. I'm excited about that because that means we have something to talk about today. Because so have I. I'm a big believer in the concept of MVPs and the benefit those working with MVPs can have for organizations. However, I see the term constantly being misused and misinterpreted, causing many developers and designers, even product people, to have a sour taste in their mouth when they say MVP. Smile if you have heard these comments before. It's unfortunate, but MVP are often misused for product managers or super evil stakeholders, as many people look at them as a way to squeeze even more functionality out of their developers. Maybe it's a way of just dropping the design thingy. It's not need. We are just going to create a small little version of something. We don't need design. This is a problem because this misconception are actually hindering a lot of people of using a very beneficial method. Another problem is the overly focus on functionality. Because functionality is, of course, what makes up our products. Yet, by itself, functionality doesn't frame or create boundaries of a product. And I believe this to be is because the same functionality can be used in multiple use cases, which, again, not a problem there. You create a more flexible product. However, it will make creating boundaries even harder because this easily spirals out of control, keeping you to increase your scope constantly, just a tad bit more functionality, and we can find a release to a new user group. People will be even more happy with our product, and the team no longer remember what you initially set out to create. Another problem with functionality is that it's awesome to create a functional demo of something, which, again, it's quite beneficiary. You can create an experiment proving that you can actually solve a task or create something, specifically if your systems are quite complex. However, proving that you can create something is not the same as proving that somebody would like to use your product. It doesn't prove that the product have meet real market needs, which is why when we talk about MVPs, we typically talk about a secluded product. We create a limited yet complete product that answers on all the different steps on the product pyramid. So, of course, it has to be functional. It has to help the users complete their tasks, but it doesn't have to have all the future functionality just yet. It has to be stable. It has to be reliable for the users so that they can trust it and rely on it in their work process. It has to be usable, not only like as a preference, but it has to be accessible for your users, so that they won't stop using it initially after a while. And if somebody here heard Vega's talk earlier, it has to speak to the irrational brain of humans. It has to be desirable. Desirability is what often makes us change or convert from using one product to another. It's usually hard to explain why we prefer it. It's that tiny bit of quality that makes us prefer one solution to the other. And as a term, minimum viable product, to my knowledge at least, it was first mentioned by Eric Ries, who created the lean startup methodology. And the whole point is, as we said, to create what is necessary, the minimum and necessary solution, to test it with in a real market with real users. And the goal is to gather feedback and to iterate, which many people forget. You're supposed to iterate on it. And to succeed with that, we have to make what is sufficient enough for early users to complete their tasks, and for the creator to test whether the product is actually generating the effect that you would like to gain as an organization. It has to be viable, both to implement and use in a real-world scenario, not in a constructed, fictive use case. And it has to be possible to develop within your existing boundaries or with your existing funds. And lastly, it has to be tangible. Back to the desirability part, it has to be something that both the user and the creator can actually talk about, wish for, and I usually say touch. And even though MVP were something originally from the startup world, I believe it's equally beneficial for a large public actor, because you might say that startups are really challenged in regards to, for example, funding. They can only live for a couple of years before having to shut down. I would say the same goes for public departments, as for my understanding in Norway at least. We live in an ever more competitive market where all initiatives are constantly competing for funding. We are facing greater societal changes, which means that we have to use our time where it actually matters. And it's much easier to create digital products. It's not a competitive advantage being able to create something. We have to prove that it actually works. And we have to focus on creating solutions that meet market needs, generate values to both the user and the creator, and justify the development costs, to avoid ending up in a situation like this, where you have created a nice chassis, but nobody can use this to anything. Or you could maybe be creative and hang your coat here or something, but it's a pretty expensive coat hanger. So hopefully this sounds like a given, right? Of course we should work this way. Why doesn't everybody build MVPs? It has some challenges. Many times when you are starting to create a new MVP, you also set together a new team, right? And that team has to go through the different forming, storming, and norming phases. However, when you use MVP as a methodology, you're saying that you want to explore something quickly, meaning you put a lot of strain on your team. And I was at a lovely conference, talk on the Yggdrasil conference earlier, where Målfrid Ågotnes showed these different stress personas. She basically described why different personas perceive the same tasks as completely different. So, for example, if you are establishing a team and you have Accurate Alex, which is a overly perfectionist, work together with Bright Robin, who is a idealist, you might have to get these people to work pretty good together within a stressful environment of MVPs. And it's also the matter of which task you are actually using the MVP towards, because MVPs are very good if you are entering a new market, something you have never done before. However, it might cause you to take up on technical depth, right? So if you know your market very well, it's not necessarily the right solution. You might not have to stress about scoping everything down this much to create. You could do it in regular, continuous development. And also, if the task you're building is not a product, it's just a part of a larger thing, it might be a bit weird to use the MVP mindset or framework towards these tasks. But let's say that you are planning on starting an MVP, you have a product idea. How can you use the MVP canvas to help you define that product? And equally important, what is not supposed to be within the scope of your MVP? The framework consists of 3 exercises. First of all, we have to clarify what the product actually is going to be. We have to clarify what the product is, who is for, and which kind of value it will create. Then we will specify which task the MVP is going to solve and which user tasks can be solved later. And then we have to plan for actually releasing the product, which put a lot of stress on designers and developers, because choosing to use MVP as a solution on creating products actually means that you have to test your solution as soon as you're able. You have to, the whole methodology is made to give the team insights for the organization so that you're able to pivot or iterate on your product idea. Also, to succeed with this, you will need to do some work beforehand. You have to know something about your users, about your organizations. You have to be able to describe who your target audience is, what the domain is, which constraints it has, and also which values your organizations are searching to accomplish. And also, I would recommend doing this before you actually start the design and development phase, because once you have started the design and development, you have this tendency of just searching confirmation on your pre-existing ideas. Let's dig a bit deeper into these exercises. The first one might seem simple. It's all about answering what we are building, who we are building it for, and why we are building it. And you might think, well, those are quite simple questions. I hear you, I feel you, I think so as well. However, I have never asked the team these 3 questions and gotten the same 3 answers from that team, which might sound weird, but based on our different occupations, experiences, and understandings of our tasks, we might see the product we're building different. And this is quite important to get right when working with an MVP, because we are coming together to find the tiniest part of a product. There's not a lot of wiggle room in regards to understanding each other. We had to drag in the same direction. And just to show you how we filled out this canvas, I will use a project of mine that I did for the Norwegian road authorities in regards to traffic safety audits. If I say something wrong in regards to traffic safety audits, I'm so sorry. I've never translated it to English before, but bear with me. And just a quick introduction to what a traffic safety audit is and the project. This was the team that I was working with. I worked as the designer, and I had a lot of different very good developers and project management with us. But what's most interesting with the team connection is these 3 people here representing the domain side. These are traffic auditors that helped us create the MVP. And when we were starting to look at traffic safety audits, we had to understand what is this process. And you're not meant to be able to read this. Look at this at black and gray boxes. That's enough. Traffic safety audits, this is a simple view of the process. It starts with planning where you need to do the audits. Do you have any areas where there have been multiple injuries? Going over to actually ordering an audit, finding people who can do it, performing or doing the audit, writing a report, delivering that report, following up the report. As you can see, it's quite a huge process. And our team didn't have a lot of funds. I can't remember exactly, but I asked my project manager early in the project, this was in February, how long are we working on this for? Well, about autumn, so you don't have a full year. And this, I promise you, it takes a couple of years to digitize and create solutions for everything here. So what we had to do was kind of break down the task, right? There is no need in creating a planning tool if you can't deliver these other components. And there is no need to create a follow-up tool if you can't get the audits done right in the first place. So you can see here, we wrote bra sted å starte, which means nice place to start. We saw that if we can actually help people perform the traffic safety audits in a good way, we can gather the data, we can prove that it's possible to gather, and we can continue building on that further on. So we said that our MVP would be for actually completing the traffic safety audits. And these are really cool. These are traffic safety auditors, and they're educated from the Norwegian School of Science and Technology. And they basically go and measure things like distance from the road to electrical boxes, the corner radius. They're brilliant. They see things that we can never understand, and they keep our roads safe. So this was the environment we were going to create a solution for. So I sat down with my team, and we started writing our understanding of the product. We are going to create a tool that makes it easier to both register and follow up findings from a traffic safety audit. It's for the people leading the traffic safety audit and the people that are actually receiving the report. And we are building this so that all the findings from future inspections can be collected in a structured way, which was something the Norwegian road authorities were struggling with. So that's the internal value. And the TS auditors would use less time on documentation in the field and report writing at the office. That's the external value. And for product people, we'll understand that a product has an internal and external value, but I don't think we always talk about that. And when we have that product defined, the next task for the exercise 1 is to document all the possible user tasks you can help these auditors do in their field. And to do that, it's very nice if you have a designer that might do some user journey mapping and interviews to get some insights in how this process is actually done. I printed out these user journeys, and me and my team literally went step for step and ideated on which user tasks could we in some way help them perform even better. And we've done that. When we did that, we came up with a whole list of ideas. Again, not functionality, right? We aren't going to spec how we are solving this yet. It's just user tasks that the user do with this traffic safety audit test. And we structured it in regards to the workflow, which made it easier for us to have a look at, well, the finding registration part itself. It's a lot of things we can help them with, but we could also make the inspections better for them by assisting, telling them more about which things to look out for, etc. This is a diverging process, meaning you are meant to find as many user tasks as possible, which is why I recommend you to do exercise 2 maybe the day after, because we have to take these tasks. This is still way too much. Creating and solving all these different user needs would take a lot of time. So we will have to prioritize even more. And to do this, I've used the MVP analogy of creating a skateboard as your initial product, even though you want a car, or I say Ferrari. And it's easy to kind of stab holes in this analogy, right? If you want a Ferrari, you definitely don't want a skateboard. But when you work in multidisciplinary teams, you have to create these stories, as we heard earlier today, to make it easier for people to talk about that the product is actually going to evolve over time. And the first story we took from the cheat was the story that we thought this has to be the carrot of our product. This is the defining thing that will make people convert from the existing ways of doing things to using our product. I don't know if the carrot term works in Swedish, but I checked out it works in English. For us, that was combining position finding, which you can see she do on our phone, with the registration part, because they had to use one app today to find the position out in the field, alongside filling out all the forms for the audits. So we knew that we have to have that position tracking available for the first product, so that we can combine all the different tools into one. It's not the easiest thing we could have done, but MVP is not about making the easiest products. It's making the minimum product that people are actually willing to convert over to. And then we just explored the different tasks, seeing where can we place our different tasks, and explored which kind of product development could this be. And the thing I like about this process, instead of just saying what's within scope or not, is that it's much easier for people with a strong connection to their ideas to actually place things here in regards to just say, this is out of scope. Because I'm sure that, especially the people who are not used to product development, they still think we are going to create a Ferrari. I'm pretty sure that we're never going to create a Ferrari because we have pivoted long ago. But it's still easier to get people to work in a more constructive way this way. And also, it's a smart thing of dividing your user groups. Because for a skateboard, there are some tasks, especially when in regards to following up the inspections, that would involve us including multiple user groups, which will make it harder to roll out. It's more people to work with, more needs to be met. So we actually said that we want to focus on one specific user group for our skateboard. And the reason I'm saying we'll never make a Ferrari is because at this point in time, we are thinking about our skateboard. It can develop into multiple different things. We don't know. That's the whole point of doing an MVP, being open to actually pivoting and changing what your aim is. The only thing we actually need to be to agree on is the initial skateboard, which I like. It also helps us decide as late as possible, which is a agile term that you might know, but it's very beneficial because these tasks, I don't have to ideate yet. I don't have to plan to solve this. I haven't committed to solving these at all, so I don't have to start working on possible solutions. I can work on just creating my skateboard the best way possible. And when doing that, I can think of the line of visibility. We were creating an inspection tool with a good experience for the traffic safety auditors, but we have no plans of creating good tools for administrators. So, for example, if you have a look at the sketches and we zoom down to the inspection tool, you have to place findings on different inspections, right? So many people would just say, okay, well, let's add a button here, add new inspection, solved. But we are not planning on solving this task yet. We are actually committing on just delaying it, which means that we said to our users, email us if you're having a new inspection, and we will create it in our systems that doesn't have to be usable at all. We took it upon ourselves to take that task initially because we are not testing the admin tool, right? We don't need insights on that. And the reason I like this is my visual thinking. This may make no sense to you at all, but I look at creating new products as trying out different things which will change the ecosystem. So I suggest making as small changes as possible to actually know that your change is what had any effect. If you create too much noise, it's very hard to actually evaluate your product. And the third exercise is all about realization, as I said. It's 3 simple questions. We start by anticipating when we will launch the product. And this is something that many development teams might have struggled with earlier, feeling the pressure to launch. My aim is that your product team themselves should be willing to launch as soon as possible. We knew we had to be ready to the first coming season because traffic safety audits is season-based, which means that you have a small window where you will do the audits, and then you will have to wait another year. So it's very easy for us to say, we didn't make it, but that would mean a whole year of waiting. Then we could just delay. We didn't have to make the MVP at all. And trying out tools in real life will always give you so much more insights than what you are able to simulate in a user test at the office. Like, for example, how it feels walking down a road and having a trailer driving by you in 80 kilometers an hour. It feels really bad. You don't want to look at an iPad in that moment. It's a lot of going in and out of the car, remembering your iPad. So you have to bring your iPad to register the findings. If you wear yellow jackets on the road, people will stop to talk to you about everything. Stuff like that. You can't plan for that. Your insight will never show you that. Even though you are having designers doing interviews, you will never manage to answer or get these discoveries unless you actually put yourself out there. And to put yourself out there, you have to address the obstacles and uncertainties as fast as possible. For our case, will there be any inspections? Yes, of course, but it's a fair question. Can we join them? Because it would be easier for us to place our product in an environment where you can also inspect it ourselves. And can we get tablets to actually perform this testing? What we learned was that to work on the road, you have to have a arbeidsvarslingskurs, which we had to take, and you have to apply for that. So luckily, we found out that along before the actual inspection, and we found a inspection that was 4 hours away from where we live in Bergen, which meant that we can just drive there. Lastly, creating MVPs is all about exploring things. It's about exploring possibilities and see whether there actually sticks. So you have to have some kind of idea on how to evaluate the success of your solutions. And for us, it was quite simple. We are working in a really niche domain, being traffic safety audits. So we decided that we will have to test the solution up against the previous solutions to see whether we are actually making an impact on both registration and the feel of the product. And we can measure the time used on report writing very easily. And so this was maybe the easiest part, but it's important to address early how do you actually plan to measure the success of your product. When you have done all these exercises, you have something that looks kind of like this. It gives you an overview of what you are planning to build, which can align your team in a much clearer way than a long Jira backlog. You have actually already talked about how the product can iterate over time. These things are more kind of a guidance. This isn't a roadmap, but it's used to come up with your skateboard. And you have also started to talk about how you can realize the product. It can also look something like this. And for us, I'm pretty proud of this. We started the research in February. We did ideation and user testing and development in March, and we launched our MVP in June. Of course, because we were able to scope it down so clearly. We had a really clear goal. And it allows us to test and confirm that creating this product was actually a good idea, which makes it easier to get more funding too. It's been a rocky road, but it's funny to look back on now because we started in 2022, so March to June. Then we extended the product continuously over many years, but it all started with that little MVP. So now, just to get back to the process map that I made, we still haven't created everything because these things are no use in actually creating. So we have pivoted a bit away from that. It's not a goal in itself. But I hope this inspires you to kind of see that by creating the smallest version of a product and kind of grooming it over time, you can extend your user base. You can also do continuous discovery and continuously build your infrastructure, the technical infrastructure, alongside in the correct tempo of your product evolving. So if you're interested in testing this out yourself, I've put it out in Figma community, so it's free. Please have a look. I would love to hear your feedback if you start using it. I will add the English version just after today, so you can find it there. And yeah, please give me any feedback. I'm constantly iterating on this MVP canvas, so I would love to hear your thoughts on how it works for you. Thank you so much.